the country.
The passion runs so deep, man. So much history, pageantry.
1 week closer to kickoff.
That's the way we answer.
It starts with culture.
It's a mentality, it's a way of life, it's a DNA.
College football free agency. Transfer portal.
The Cinderella story is over, man. Lions are fighting for clicks, we're fighting for wins.
Say that. Say that again. Coaches only. Players only. Everybody. It's time.
College football is different. They're
Of the 12-team playoff.
Boy, fires for the end zone. Touchdown! Alabama wins!
Welcome back for a new college football episode of Bet the Line, brought to you by Robbins Properties. If you're looking for a house, townhome, or apartment to rent or own in the Central Iowa area, they are the people that will take care of you. That is Robbins Properties. Before we get started here, make sure to follow us on Instagram at Bet the Line Podcast to see our cards. And to make sure you click the like button, the subscribe button, and turn on all bell notifications to stay up to date on all things college football. Georgia upsets Ole Miss 43-35 after outscoring Ole Miss 17-0 in the fourth quarter. Jake, I know you're high on Ole Miss. How are we feeling?
You know, as a Ole Miss plus 7.5 better, that one kind of hurt. You know, outside of that, it was truly a great game. You know, it's kind of crazy that Ole Miss started out the game, I believe it was 5 touchdowns on their first 5 drives, and then they just went absolutely cold. But, you know, on the Georgia side, I mean, Gunnar Stockton played outstanding, you know, led the fourth quarter comeback. This Georgia team's really interesting. Like, the defense isn't what it once was, but, you know, they've now shown, you know, in the Tennessee game and this game, even though they didn't win it, you could argue the Bama game, like they start out slow, but, you know, backs are against the wall and they overcome adversity. So, you know, pretty resilient Georgia team. Schedule looks good moving forward. You know, I'm sure they're going to be in the playoff once again. And I think on the other side, Ole Miss can compete with anybody. You know, it feels like in previous years, Lane Kiffin and Ole Miss definitely beat the teams that they should beat, and then when they play the Georgia and the Alabamas of the world, they just lose by, you know, 20 plus. So I don't think that's the case anymore. You know, the common theme in the NIL era is that there's a lot more parity in college football, and I think that is the case. But, you know, Ole Miss competed really well. Trinidad Chambliss had a great first 3 quarters, kind of fell off at the end there, but could also argue that all Ole Miss's defense needed to do was get like 2 stops, and they could have won the game. So, great game. Obviously, a top 10 matchup for, you know, competing for an SEC title. So,
Georgia also did not turn the ball over one time that whole game. So, I mean, that's the difference. Also, their defense made 2 3-and-outs in a row towards the end of the game, which obviously led to the 17-0 fourth quarter run.
I think I saw a stat that it just said like the time of possession in the fourth quarter, Ole Miss had the ball for like 1 minute and 11 seconds.
Yeah. And then you touched on it, but Gunnar Stockton, 26 for 31 on the day, 289 yards, and then 59 rushing yards. For a quarterback
5 total touchdowns.
Yeah, for a quarterback that came into the year very skeptical and had a big question mark, he's definitely showing out for Georgia. Bama wins their 4th straight over a ranked opponent as they defeat Tennessee 37-20. Q, I know you've been out on Alabama all year. Are you buying in?
Yeah, I'll probably buy a little bit of stock, which is tough to say, but this sucks, dude. This is so bad.
Can you hold the mic closer?
Actually? Do I actually need to, or is this good?
A little bit closer.
Stop.
Why are you holding it?
Yeah, so I think I'm gonna buy stock into Bama. Um, oh, this is just terrible.
Can you move the microphone just a little bit away?
This thing looks huge right next to my.
Whoa.
Okay, well,
Can you explain to the listeners what happened?
my boomstick broke, and so now I gotta hold my mic.
Control your temper, and maybe it won't happen.
Tensions were high before that.
Yeah, I didn't. Literally nothing happened. I went to go tighten it, and it snapped. Like, nah, it's over with. I'm not gonna get worked up about it anymore. But yeah, so yeah, somebody else talk. I'm buying in stock into Bama.
I think
yeah.
the SEC hasn't changed at all. It feels like there's always so much hope for all these teams: Ole Miss, Texas, Oklahoma, and then we're right back to the same spot this year. Just nothing has changed. It feels like.
The only thing that's changed is that Alabama has just the craziest loss on their resume as time continues to go on. Florida State continues to just get worse and worse every single week as Bama gets better every single week. But yeah, in conference, Bama doesn't have a loss, so it doesn't really matter. But I don't know. I mean, I think I'm kind of to the point where like I don't even. The Bama team that lost to Florida State is not the same team that we've seen, every week since then. Like they just keep stacking huge wins. They're building momentum. I think that you could make the argument that they're the best team in the country outside of Ohio State, which maybe isn't the craziest thing to say because they're already ranked fourth. But they're a phenomenal team. They're clicking. Here's a stat for you guys. Kalen DeBoer now has the best record in college football history against ranked opponents. He's 19-3.
That's impressive.
That's over 80% of the games you're playing against a ranked team, you're winning.
Wow.
Yeah. Did you guys watch this game? The only other thing I'd add was that the 99-yard pick six right before the end of the first half was electric.
Yep. And
That
then,
stadium was going crazy.
dude,
I saw
Alabama,
that.
I've noticed, like, they do not wait around. They jump on you right away. I mean, the first drive, they put up a touchdown, and then, what was it, 23-7 by halftime? Like, just completely defeats their opponents right off the rip.
I saw that pick. There was a video of this guy that was filming when that pick six was going on, and you could hear the pick six in the guy's video, and the guy was 3 miles away from the stadium. Like, it was crazy.
You could hear him catching.
It was
the ball from
insane.
3
And I mean,
miles
to
away.
me, like,
Yeah, you could hear the
Oh,
crowd
side.
from 3
I just
miles
wanted
away.
to clarify.
Yeah, thanks. Yeah.
it was pretty crazy though. Like that to me was. It's tough to say that Tennessee was out of it. I mean, technically you're still only down by 2 scores, but like that was the turning point in the game where they had the ball on Alabama's 1 yard line and they're down 16-7. You could go into halftime down 2, but instead you went down 16.
Let's move on. Notre Dame defeats USC, third year in a row here. Jake, as a booster for USC, how are we feeling?
Feeling okay. I do think I watched this entire game, and I think maybe if you just look at the box score, you probably see that Jeremiah Love had over 200 yards. Jadarian Price had another 80-plus yards. C.J. Carr had some rushing yards. Like, I think if you just look at the box score, you probably think that USC got out-physicaled once again, which they kind of did, but I do think that they just gave up a ton of huge plays. I think for the most part, I was actually impressed with their defense, that they actually looked halfway physical and kind of competed. And really what the game came down to was just Lincoln Riley with boneheaded 4th and short play calls. Like it was truly just terrible. They had 4th and 1 on Notre Dame's 20-yard line in the first half, went for it, and Stupid play call. They didn't get it. Turn the ball over. Second half, they had another 4th and short, and he decided to run a wide receiver reverse pass that got absolutely annihilated in the backfield. So to me, it's like, dude, just call a normal play call. You need half a yard. You don't need 10 yards. You don't need a touchdown here. Like, just get the first down and keep the drive alive. So I feel like that was kind of the difference maker in this game. But like I said, I mean, I am impressed with USC's defense. Again, the box score wouldn't tell you that, but I do think that there's a little bit of a spark there in year 2 under Deontay Lynn. Haven't really seen that from a Lincoln Riley defense in a long time. I also think USC, I think they'll be all right. I think they were a team that a lot of people like to say, oh, they could be 10-2, maybe in the playoff. I had them in the playoff preseason. I still think that they could be in that 9-3 category, but I don't see them beating Oregon because I think that's another team that's going to out physical them. But I do think that there's improvement from USC compared to the last 2 years.
I think it is to note that it was literally pouring during that game the whole time. And then I think you're talking about the same play as me, but after that trick play, I mean, they lost all momentum. It looked like they were completely out of it after that fumble. And then CJ Carr, no knock on him. He's looked very impressive throughout the year, but it was right before half. You got a little glimpse of a freshman out there playing when he tried scrambling. Instead of throwing the ball away, he forced an interception. I mean, that could have put you up, I think, 10 at the time going into half. I mean, they still got the win, but still ground to make for him. So, yeah, it was good to see Notre Dame finally run the ball with Jeremiah Love. He had 228 yards and a touchdown. So maybe going forward, that's their identity.
I mean, that was really Notre Dame's last remaining truly tough game on their schedule, too. So, looking ahead, they're in the driver's seat at this point.
BYU stays unbeaten. They win the Holy War 24-21 against Utah. We said it last episode, don't bet against BYU at night in Provo. It's that simple. Time and time again, they show you not to. So, Q, Jake, you guys were both high on Utah going into the season. How are we feeling currently?
I don't know. I think with Texas Tech losing, the door isn't completely closed. I mean, with Tech losing, I feel like everybody else is just going to continue to beat up on each other. I mean, I think Tech was the front runner to run away with it, but now with them losing and a lot of teams having one loss, I think it's kind of up for grabs. And I think this win for BYU puts a little bit more respect on their name. I feel like this year and last year BYU didn't really get talked about seriously until the last quarter of the season, and I kind of feel like this year no one's really talking about them, even though they're ranked 11th. I mean, they're almost a top 10 team, so I feel like this was a good win for BYU to finally, hopefully, be talked about in playoff terms. And if you're Utah, your season's not completely over. You're not in control of your own destiny, though. You kind of have to hope for other teams to lose. But this was kind of surprising as a Utah. I picked Utah to win the Big 12, so it's just kind of surprising to see them lose another game. I mean, BYU is a good team, so credit to them.
Yeah, and I think you nailed it, Q. I mean, you got to give credit to BYU and Kalani Sitake. They've won 18 of their last 20 games. Back-to-back years they're starting out. I think last year they started out 9-0. This year they're 7-0. They're just a team that, preseason we were talking about Texas Tech for sure. Talking about Utah, Q and I were high on Utah. People talking about Arizona State, maybe Iowa State in there, and BYU is just the one constant. They just keep finding ways to win games. Bear Bachmeier, he doesn't really do anything special, but he just manages the offense. He's not putting up huge numbers, but he just finds ways to get it done. LJ Morton had 122 yards on the ground. It may not be the prettiest brand of football, but again, BYU just wins games. The Utah fan in me is definitely hurting a little bit. Obviously before this game, their biggest game was Texas Tech, where they just didn't show up. So this was a great opportunity. They actually outrushed BYU, outthrew them, had more first downs. They just had less points. Again, kind of similar to the USC game, Utah went for it in BYU's territory on like 4th and 1, 4th and 2, 4th and 3, like 3 different times, and just didn't convert any of them. So, hindsight 2020, take the points, but I understand at the moment you want to finish the drive and punch in a touchdown. But also shout out the Jersey matchup. I love the all red versus all blues.
Color rush.
You picked up on how BYU just finds ways to win. I mean, I'm looking at it here, and Utah actually outscored BYU in yardage, 470 total yards versus BYU's 368. So they find ways to win. I mean, critical turnover downs in the red zone multiple times in that game for Utah. You just can't have it.
That to me is what lost them the game.
Yeah.
You just take the points. Obviously, the game would go differently, but that's 27-24 right there.
Other scores from around the country. Miami falls to Louisville 24-21. Carson Beck has a bad performance that game. Nebraska travels to Minnesota and loses 24-6. Ohio State shuts out Wisconsin 34-0. Indiana takes care of Michigan State 38-13. Texas A&M wins a shootout against Arkansas 45-42. Texas Tech falls to Arizona State 26-22. Texas Tech starting quarterback was out that game, just so you have that noted. Oregon rolls Rutgers 56-10. Vandy defeats LSU 31-24. Georgia Tech pulls away late against Duke, wins 27-18. Oklahoma bounces back and wins 26-7. Missouri goes into double overtime, and they survive against Auburn 23-17 on the road. Virginia survives Washington State 22-20. Back-to-back frisky games for the Cougs. South Florida defeats Florida Atlantic 48-13. They're sitting in a great driver's seat spot here to be the Group of 5 team. Texas goes into overtime with Kentucky, but manages to get the win 13-10. Low scoring game again for Texas. Memphis falls to UAB 31-24. Kind of hurts their resume for a playoff spot. And then Cincinnati stays red hot, defeats juggernaut Oklahoma State, jokingly 49-17. How are we feeling?
It was a great weekend of college football. There were a lot of great games all day.
Vandy, LSU, any thoughts?
I think it just shows us that Diego Pavia was right and that he came back to win a national championship, and Vanderbilt's right there in the mix. They could do the whole thing.
Oregon, 56-10.
Yeah, it was a good bounce back win. They were firing on all cylinders on both sides of the ball, so that was good to see after a disappointing loss.
Bounce back win, you said. Where were they bouncing back from?
Oh, we covered that last episode.
Gotcha.
I'm going back to Q here before we move on. Miami, Carson Beck, Heisman pick for you. Rough game for him.
Yeah, Buddy thought he was still in Athens. It ain't sweet in Miami, dude. You can't play like that in Miami. But you can if you're playing for Mario Cristobal, let me tell you. But no, I think Miami's still fine. I mean, Carson Beck probably won't win the Heisman anymore. Whoop-de-doo. Probably wasn't going to in the first place. I did say he would be in New York. I didn't necessarily say that he would win it. But, I mean, on to bigger and better things, I think Miami's more concerned about a natty. And, that's still they're still in the driver's seat. So they can still win the ACC, still win it all. So
technically, they're not in the driver's seat. There are 3-3-0 teams atop the ACC standings.
I mean, if they win out, then they're still in the ACC championship game. I'm pretty sure those top teams have to play each other eventually.
Maybe. It's tough to say when there's conferences with 17 teams.
No kidding.
I'm going to go back to your queue. Auburn. Out.
He's
Is it time?
fired. He's got to get fired. He's got to get fired.
Are you talking about Hugh Freeze or are you talking about
Coach Javarson, Lamar?
Yeah, Coach Lamar for sure.
They both need fired. Let me put it that way. But I think this is Hugh Freeze's last year for sure. He's got the talent. I don't know why they can't put the pieces together.
Jackson Arnold's not great for starters.
But he's been given keys to the Ferrari and asked not to crash, though. So he's got to be able to make it work. But he can't.
Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying Hugh Freeze is not to blame. I'm just saying that Jackson Arnold also shares a piece of the blame.
I mean, yeah. He's no Dante Moore, but he should be able to get the job done.
He's no Fernando Mendoza, but
yeah, okay, whatever. Next segment.
Moving on, players that shined. I'm going to start us out, fellas. We're going to start out with the running back duo of Jeremiah Love and Jadarian Price. Mike, you said it, but Jeremiah Love had 24 carries for 228 yards and a touchdown, and Jadarian Price, RB2, who could be RB1 for 95% of the teams in the country, had 13 carries, 87 yards, a touchdown, and also had a kickoff return for a touchdown. Additionally, since I'm the only guy that embraces defense, Xavier Brow, Alabama defensive back, had the 99-yard pick six that completely shifted momentum right before half.
I'm going to go with Lawson Lucky, tight end out of Georgia. He had 5 catches for only 43 yards. Not that impressive, but he did have 3 touchdowns. In Georgia's 43-35 upset against Ole Miss. All 3 touchdowns came in pivotal momentum shifts in that game. You know, on a day when Georgia's offense needed to deliver in a big way, Lawson Lucky showed up and got the job done. So he's a player that shined for me.
Yeah, I chose Iverson Cooks out of UAB. I think that was an underrated upset this weekend. Potentially knocked Memphis out of playoff contention, but he had 11 receptions, 173 yards, and 3 touchdowns on their way to upset number 22 Memphis. So on to teams that shined. I did not pick a team because I was trying to fix my mic. So shout out Iowa State for not losing on their bye.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Oregon didn't shine for you?
I mean, yeah, but we already talked about them. So, man, yeah, shout out Oregon, bounce back victory.
No, too late. Dan Lanning's going to take that as disrespect and post it in the pregame hype video this week. Next week, I don't know.
He's going to go to Penn State.
Who?
I think he's going to Florida, but we'll get into that. My team that shined, we talked about the Holy War, but the BYU Cougars, man, they're one of those teams that, once again, not a lot of people talking about them, but they are 7-0, control their own destiny in the Big 12, and are just consistent winners. Also, Bear Bachmeier wears number 47, for those of you that don't know. That's actually the 3rd highest number for BYU quarterbacks in their history. Someone wore 48 previously, and then somebody wore a number in the 50s.
He balled out, too.
He did all right. It's going to be fun the next few years with him, though. I'll tell you that.
My team that shined is Vanderbilt. Went off a big-time win against LSU, 31-24, improving to 6-1. Iago had 246 yards and 3 touchdowns in the victory, accumulative between his passing and rushing yards. So, you know, for getting embarrassed against Alabama and coming out and making a statement win against LSU, big time. Also being ranked for the first time in school history in the top 10 is very impressive for Vandy. So props to them. We're going to get into the top 25 rankings here. We'll just go through them. If you have anything to talk about after, we can talk about it after. Just don't interrupt me here. We got Ohio State, Clayton. They remain at number 1 here, receiving 60 votes. Indiana at number 2. Texas A&M at number 3. Alabama at 4. Georgia moves up 4 spots. They sit at 5. Oregon at 6. Georgia Tech at 7. They moved up 5 spots. Ole Miss drops 3 spots down to 8th. Miami drops 7 spots down to 9th. Vandy goes up 7 spots. Like I just said, they ranked 10th. BYU at 11. Notre Dame at 12. Oklahoma at 13. Texas Tech drops 7 spots after their loss. They're at 14. Missouri at 15. Virginia at 16. Tennessee at 17. USF at 18. Louisville at 19. 20 LSU. They dropped 10 spots back. 21 Cincinnati, one of the remaining Big 12 undefeated teams between them and BYU. Then you have Texas at 22, 23 Illinois, 24 Arizona State, and 25 Michigan. Agree, disagree?
I mean, I could nitpick a lot of things. The problem is, to me, I don't know. Georgia Tech, for example. Does anybody actually think Georgia Tech's the 7th best team in the country?
You don't watch Georgia Tech football.
I don't.
I watched them struggle against a terrible Colorado Buffalo team. I watched them barely manage to get by every other team they faced the rest of the season.
We'll talk about them later.
Let's talk about them right now.
Dude, I don't believe in Georgia Tech, right? Actually, let me take that back. I don't think they're a top 10 team. But I do think there's a chance they go undefeated in their regular season if you look at their remaining schedule. If they can get past Georgia somehow in their last game, I mean, other than that, it's Cakewalk City.
They will.
Cakewalk City.
Yeah. They don't have much competition.
I don't know. I think the problem is, and I've been on both sides of this before, where, Penn State after week 3, if you can forget about everything that's happened since then, you could sit there and say, what has Penn State done to deserve their ranking? They played nobody in their non-conference, and it's, I get it. But I don't know. Georgia Tech, to me, you just can't convince me they're the 7th best team in the nation. And then you get into the whole, well, who do you put above them? And I feel like you could put a lot of teams above them, but then you get into the 6-1 and 5-2 teams. But I think Oklahoma's a better football team than Georgia Tech. I understand that Oklahoma has a loss, but that's why I like the college football playoff, is because I feel like the rankings kind of weed that stuff out. But then you have people that ask the question, well, why do you play the games? Well, I mean, I get it, but I don't know. It's so tough. What do? You got to rank an undefeated team in a Power 4 conference high. So
Yeah.
You do. I think BYU has a better resume than Georgia Tech.
I'm looking at Georgia.
I think Indiana has a better resume than Ohio State. You can make the case for Indiana being number 1. I think it's just due to the fact that Ohio State's undefeated and reigning national champs. But, I mean, Indiana does have a better resume. They have 2 top 10 wins.
Yeah, but
Ohio State only has 1.
okay.
So
Are you just saying that?
I'm actually saying you could make a case that Indiana should be ranked number 1.
When we're nitpicking this much between who's 1 and 2, does it really matter until it comes down to playoff time? Exactly. If Indiana wants to be the number 1 team, so be it. But at the same time, we are reigning national champs, and I mean, we also don't have as many chances as Indiana now because Penn State.
That's what I don't think Indiana
a top 10 team as they were. So now we can't play another top team. You have to it comes down to how many games versus a top 10 team you play. And we don't have as many opportunities right now.
Maybe schedule harder teams. Maybe don't schedule Marshall week 2 and Texas State week 1.
Back to the Georgia Tech thing here, Jake. Do you think the ranking, like whoever's doing the AP poll or whatever, do you think they're looking ahead? Like, hey, this team's probably going to be in the ACC championship viewership. Put them high. That way Miami's ranked high as well.
No, I think honestly, everybody that has an AP vote should have to report to somebody. I think half the people who have AP votes are just an absolute joke and they don't watch college football. For example, USC just beat Michigan 31-13 2 weeks ago. Michigan is now ranked. USC is not. There's no justification for that. When you get into actual head-to-head matchups, that will never make sense to me. How you can rank someone who, and maybe you sit there and say oh, they won by a field goal at home, and if that's a neutral site game or if it's the other way around, the other team wins. But this was an 18-point win. And I think the AP poll is always going to be flawed, and there's just so many people that don't watch games and they cast their vote on a Sunday not knowing the results of so many different games. Now, I'm not saying that's the case with Georgia Tech. I'm just saying that people feel like you have to rank an undefeated team high. I think the reality is you should just sit there and watch a Georgia Tech game and actually evaluate, do I think they're the 7th best team in the country?
Yeah, but the only people that truly evaluate the teams and the games every week are coaches. So I think that's far more accurate.
Which is why the coaches poll is.
That's my only question is, why don't we use the coaches poll? Why is the AP poll the poll we go off of before the college football playoff poll comes out? And if you argue it's biased, so is the AP poll, because every person who has a vote is an affiliate of a college, if not multiple.
It's all going to get mixed up here soon anyways. It happened last year when they start releasing the playoff bracket here. All the rankings just completely changed.
12.
Yeah.
Yep. Anyway, I'll get off my high horse of just bashing the AP rankings weekly. We're gonna go around the world of college football this past week, fellas. There's some big news from around the country. Starting out, we've been talking about it for a while, but at long last, Billy Napier is out as the Florida head coach. Thoughts?
Florida is now a national championship caliber team.
Just imagine when Dan Lanning gets in that program.
Yeah, you'll keep dreaming because that's never going to happen. He's never leaving Eugene.
They brought him in to restore the program to an elite status. He had multiple 10-win seasons at the lower level, and I think they gave him more than enough time to get it figured out, probably more than what people agree with, and he just couldn't. He ended his Florida record with a 22-23 under 500 record for Florida. He also never won a game on the road against a ranked opponent. I mean, for Florida, you got to be able to do that stuff. You got to have a well above 500 record. You got to be able to beat ranked opponents on the road, and he just couldn't do that, especially with a talented team.
Yep, it's definitely long overdue.
I do think that Missouri's coach, Eli, I think he's a great fit for Florida. He's proved that he can play or coach on the SEC level. He's good at recruiting. He's consistent. That's what Florida needs right now. They just need consistency. The talent's there on that roster. You have DJ Lagway, hopefully, as long as he doesn't transfer. So, yeah, I think that would be a hot commodity for a coaching gig.
I think James Franklin's going there.
I don't.
I don't know about that.
I think he will.
I think the name I think I've seen tossed around the most is probably Lane Kiffin. I don't know that he leaves Ole Miss. But yeah, it's definitely you could argue either the Florida head coach job or the Penn State head coach job is going to be the hottest commodity in college football this carousel. But I did see an interesting report. I don't remember who tweeted it. Probably a stupid college football Twitter account. But it did say, per sources, Florida is open to the idea of Nick Saban being their next head coach. And to that, I would say, duh. Who wouldn't want Nick Saban?
Is Nick Saban open to the idea of coaching Florida, though?
I saw Urban Meyer too.
Gosh.
I don't.
I've seen a
Return.
bunch of reports of that.
The return of Coach Meyer.
See,
And then
I
I-
unfinished business in the state of Florida.
I saw something today about Coach O, like jokingly talking about his return to coaching. So I don't know. Maybe he's entertaining that and just putting it out there on the social media that he's.
That would not be
around.
a good. That would not be a wise pick for Florida to pick Coach O.
I don't think so. But there's a lot. I don't think this is the last open gig, and we'll get to it. But I think there's going to be another top team out there come after this week.
Kansas is not a top team.
Dude, there's actually some hot water with Lance right now.
Yeah, I mean,
Why?
He's messaging like he's DMing
whoa.
Kansas source accounts and complaining about how we're knocking the team and his coaching ability, and he relies. He did it last year. He's always relying on, well, the fans aren't filling up the booth. Well, you win games, you don't blow them, and we'll fill up the booth. I mean, it's that simple. But you can't have a coach who has lost 2 games because of lack of coaching, messaging and DMing in the middle of a season, Kansas source Twitter accounts, and complaining about the fans. You just can't have that.
Yeah, that's a bit childish.
Per sources, there's a Miami head coach doing that. It's not Mario Cristobal. Anyway, this is just a quick keynote, but another week of me saying UCLA controls their own destiny. 3-1 in the conference. They do have Indiana coming up this week. Who knows? You win that game, you might be the highest rated 4-4 team of all time. Let's see, fellas. Dabo and Clemson. Anything new to report on? Is the marriage over? Do they part ways at the end of the year? Do you give them one more chance? What do you do?
I think you give him one more chance, get into the portal, figure out something, see if it works. If it doesn't work, see you later. He's got to adjust.
I don't see a world where they fire him after this year.
I really don't either, and that's the thing. Like, Clemson is not, a blue blood. They're a new blood, and they are a new blood solely because of Dabo Swinney taking over the program. Yeah. So, you can't. I don't think you can fire him. At least you can't fire him in the middle of the season. But I do think you give him one more shot, and you say, Dabo, this is an ultimatum. You need to use the portal. You need to do this, and we need to get back to where we were.
Maybe.
Not only 2 rings, but 2 rings over Nick Saban.
Unless you really fall off the rails, but I don't think they're completely falling off.
He just needs to adjust.
Well, I mean,
that's all that's to it.
Yeah, he's won the ACC 8 of the last 10 years. Last year we weren't in the same position, but last year Clemson started off slow and ended up winning the ACC. So I mean, he's probably not going to do it this year, but I don't think you can fire him. There's no way.
No, you definitely have to look at what Clemson football was historically before he became the head coach back in 2008 and recognize that he has taken you to heights that your team has never been before, at least in the modern era of college football, apart from their one national championship in the 80s. He built what the Clemson football standard is, You give them time.
Yeah.
Next topic. I don't know if you guys have looked recently, but just like last year, I think we're going to have some chaos in the Big 12 these final 5-6 weeks, which actually is really sad to say out loud that there's only like 6 weeks left. BYU and Cincinnati are both 4-0 in the conference at the top of the leaderboard. Then you have Arizona State, Texas Tech, Houston at 3-1. Iowa State, TCU, Utah are all 2-2 in the conference, 5-2 overall. There's a lot that could happen between now and then. And if you guys remember last season, Iowa State and BYU were kind of the front runners, and then they both tripped up 2 times, like in the final 4 weeks. The next thing you know, there's a 4-way tie for the Big 12 championship. I think we are dangerously close to something similar this year.
And
Which that's always fun to watch play out.
BYU goes to Iowa State this week, right?
They do.
Yeah.
So that's a big one.
That's a scary game for BYU.
I know. I was not expecting ISU to be favored, but that's a big game for both teams.
It's hard to win there.
I think Iowa State's bye came at a really good time. I will say that.
Yeah,
they needed it.
Yeah.
They're so injury depleted. Lost to Cincinnati, lost to Colorado. It gives you a chance to take some time off and then get an extra week of practice. So I wouldn't be shocked if Iowa State wins that, which, like you guys said, they're favored. But I don't know. I think it could be interesting. I think Arizona State right now, they're ranked 24th. I think they're kind of the team flying under the radar because they lost to Mississippi State early and then they got smoked by Utah. But obviously Sam Leavitt was out that game. And it seems like it might have been the right decision to make because they just beat Texas Tech. And just like that, they're right back in the thick of things.
They have the best wide receiver in the country, too. Tyson.
Who is
Jordan
out? He is
sure.
out for their game on Saturday. That just came out today.
Who is?
Jordan Tyson. He's not playing. Yeah. Big loss.
That might be why they're favored.
Yeah.
That's huge.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think, I don't know. It's going to be interesting once again. I would like to see the Big 12 get 2 bids. Don't know if that's going to happen. Probably not because they'll get disrespected again and everybody will just beat each other up and the winner will be 11-2. Anyway, let's see, fellas. What else did I have? BYU. One more thing to touch on with BYU. I don't know if you guys saw the news, but BYU stormed the field the other night after they beat Utah. Typically, in the Big 12, if you storm a field, you get a $50,000 fine. Apparently, they didn't get a fine because whatever this means, but they followed the instructions of how to properly storm the field. So they avoided a fine. That being said, the Crumble, I believe this is the Crumble Cookie CEO because I've never heard of any other Crumble, said that if they got fined, I will pay the $50,000 fine. Turns out they didn't get fined, but he decided that he was going to pay $50,000 for BYU's NIL. And along with that, I quote this tweet, "Because of your overwhelming support and inspired by Kalani's love for his opponents, every bit of student lunch debt in the Provo City and Salt Lake City school districts for all schools was wiped out this morning." So pretty cool ordeal.
Wow.
Good
Thank
for them.
you, Crumble CEO.
Damn.
Good for
What
All
a
right,
good Samaritan.
He is. I got one more thing on the agenda, and then we'll go into the Week 9 preview. Actually, sorry, 2 more things. We'll zip through them. Are they frauds? Quentin, Texas, go.
No. Whoa, I can't believe I said that. No. I think they're figuring it out with Arch right now at a good time.
I think they figured it out against Kentucky, too. That overtime was really something to see.
Hey, do you remember what Georgia did last year at Kentucky?
That's true. Good point.
Exactly.
That's a frisky
Hey,
Kentucky squad.
it's a frisky stadium. It's a frisky environment to be in.
Mike, LSU.
Yes, Brian Kelly's fired after this week. 5-10 against ranked opponents.
Wow, you think he's gonna get canned?
Ooh.
You think they're gonna ask him you think they're gonna fire him on the tarmac?
5-10 against ranked opponents. I was just talking about how I think another interesting coaching job is going to come available after this week. It's that one.
Ooh.
But he turned the corner. He finally won a week 1 game.
5-10 is against ranked opponents. You're LSU.
So look at how long James Franklin lasted. He was like 4-30.
5-10.
He was there for 12 damn years. I think he'll be fine, Brian Kelly. I think he'll still be there.
Quick side note, 4-30 kind of takes me back to when Kirk Cousins was my quarterback for the Vikings and his primetime record. You would look on the schedule and see primetime games and just know that you could chalk up an L. Clayton, we're going to zip over to you. Tennessee,
No, not much.
Have you watched them at all this year?
I've-
All right. Q, are they frauds?
No, they've just had some tough draws, man. I mean, at Bama, hard place to win, and then the slip up against Georgia with, I mean, not having a kicker sucks, but I don't think they're frauds. I think they're doing okay for their outlook on this year was during preseason for them. So I think they're fine. You know, new quarterback, pretty much new offense. I think they're fine. I think if you asked any Tennessee fan, hey, you're going to lose to Georgia and Bama and be 5-2, they'd be like, yeah, I probably could have assumed that. So I think they're fine.
Fair. We're going to see how that one plays out. And then final team, Mike, I'm going to go back to you. Georgia Tech.
As long as Haynes King is healthy, they are not frauds.
I
agree, though.
I don't know if you keep running them 20-plus times in games. He's going to take
History
a beating.
repeats themselves, right? He's gotten hurt every year of his college career. So
why would you wish that upon someone?
I'm not. It's a fact. He has.
Reminds me of a Kansas quarterback.
Reminds you of what?
Kansas Jayhawk.
Whoa!
Oh.
Yeah, not so funny, is it, huh? Wishing people get hurt.
Hold your mic a little closer, buddy.
Maybe I will.
All right, one more topic. Q, you're going to be able to relate to this one, I think, but just a note, fellas. I miss the Pac-12 so much, and I really miss Pac-12 after dark. Like, it was such a terrible late night slate the other night. Like, I was sitting there watching Florida State and Stanford, and I was just feeling sorry for myself that there was no better game for me to turn on. Like, no, but if you think, so like all the teams that are in the Big Ten now, for example, USC, UCLA, Oregon, I'm going to take UCLA out of that. USC, Oregon, Washington, like all of their games that are at home are always played at like middle of the afternoon. Like they just don't have a good late night slate anymore. And it's because you're playing another team that's halfway across the country. It sucks. I need it back.
And nothing beat a UCLA, like a UCLA Utah 50-45 overtime barn burner at 1:30 in the morning. Like nothing beat that.
Yeah.
And now you turn your TV on and Stanford's up 13-3 in the fourth quarter against Florida State.
It's just sad. It stinks. And kind of separately, but Kenny Dillingham this week actually mentioned something about like this is our 5th game that we've played a Texas team. They're playing Houston this week, and he was just like, yeah, I miss the days where we actually played in California because that's where Arizona State gets a lot of the recruits. And it's like, yeah, well, everybody got greedy, and this is what we have now. Something great was taken from us. Bill Walton, he would be devastated.
Oh, yeah.
Anyway, that's all. I'm living in the past. I miss the nostalgia. What can I say? All right, boys. It's time to move on and look ahead. Week 9 preview. Starting out, I think the big one of the week, Ole Miss and Oklahoma. Ole Miss enters ranked number 8 in the country, fresh off a loss to Georgia. A big game for both teams. You know, they're still firmly in the mix of the college football playoff and the SEC. Oklahoma rebounded nice off the Texas loss, defeating South Carolina 26-7. You know, the offense wasn't necessarily too flashy. John Material only finished with 150 yards and a touchdown. I think the bigger story for Oklahoma was that they finally got the run game going. Running back Torrey Blaylock ran for 101 yards on 19 carries. Like I said, that's kind of been their big struggle all year. I don't know what it is now, but I know going into the Texas game, I think their leading rusher was averaging like 42 yards a game. But their defense did dominate, which is Oklahoma's strength. It's what Brent Venables is known for, so you can always count on that. Ole Miss, obviously coming off their loss to Georgia, where they really looked impressive throughout the entire game, the first 3 quarters at least, and then they just fell apart in the fourth quarter. Offense came out of the gates hot. Defense couldn't get a stop all game, however, but I think that right there is what's going to be the story of this game. The Ole Miss strength is the offense, led by Trinidad Chambliss, Lane Kiffin calling plays, and going up against that Oklahoma defense, which is their strength. So, line right now, fellas, is Oklahoma minus 5.5, over under 54.5. Mike, where are we leaning?
I'm leaning Georgia. I'd like to see how John Mateer looks.
Georgia,
Or not Georgia.
John Mateer doesn't play for Georgia.
Yeah. Ole
What do
Miss,
you
my bad.
mean by that?
Ole Miss. I'm leaning Ole Miss.
Outright or spread?
I'd say spread. John Mateer hasn't looked like himself since that injury. They got the win last week, but only 160 yards. And I think you have the defense for Oklahoma, but they rely heavy on John Mateer in the offense to get going, and it just hasn't been there. So, yeah, give me Ole Miss to cover here.
I'd also lean.
Quentin
I'd
Eric-
also. All right.
Go ahead.
I'd also lean Ole Miss with the spread. I'm more impressed with Ole Miss losing to Georgia than I am with Oklahoma beating South Carolina. I think I saw more out of Ole Miss that impressed me in that loss than Oklahoma in that win. So I really like how Trinidad Chambliss is playing. I thought he showed tremendous poise on the road in a very tough environment. Gosh, that receiving core for Ole Miss is scary too. They're really good.
Who's
Yeah.
their leading receiver?
Huh?
Who's their leading receiver?
I think it's Tracy. Was it really?
Yeah, I'm just kidding. You can cut that. I was trying to be a dick.
Yeah, thanks. Mike's going to leave it in too.
Probably.
But yeah, but I'd lean Ole Miss.
Thanks,
Clinton
Jacob
Carl?
Michael. Yeah. I'm going Oklahoma money line. Don't want to touch the points. I still think Oklahoma's going to come out with this win. I just like them. Defense wins championships.
I think I'm leaning Oklahoma as well, as much as it pains me to say it, as a resident Ole Miss fan. I do really like Oklahoma, especially being at home. Yeah, I think their defense is the difference maker in this game. I don't even know if John Mateer is fully healthy right now or if they just put a Band-Aid on an injury. So I'm guessing John Mateer is probably just going to put up like 170 yards again this week.
He just doesn't look like himself.
No, he does not look great. I don't know. That's Dr. Shin for you, though. I think that's the actual doctor who did the surgery on him.
You act like you know who he is, though. Yeah, that's Dr. Shin for you, though.
I mean, that is no. If you think about it, though, you look at the track record. Like that's just typical Dr. Shin doing Dr. Shin things. It's like going to Turkey for a hair transplant. Just he's he's doing stuff that you don't want to know his methods. You just want to know, like, I'm cleared to play football, and that's that. So shout out Dr. Shin. Moving on. This is an unranked matchup. You know, it's one I'd like to highlight. The 5-2 Minnesota Golden Gophers travel to Iowa City to take on the 5-2 Iowa Hawkeyes for the battle of the Floyd of Rosedale Trophy. Like I said, it's an unranked matchup, but it's a couple teams, flirting right around the top 25. We love our trophy games on this podcast, so felt like it was a good game to highlight. So we got two frisky teams, could make late season runs, possibly be in the mix, maybe if things go right. Minnesota looking to win back-to-back games in Iowa City for the first time since 1979 and 1981. For those of you that don't remember, there was the very famous Cooper DeJean fair catch play, or lack thereof, that lost Iowa the game 2 years ago. Minnesota's led by head coach PJ Fleck, redshirt freshman Drake Lindsay, and they're coming off a huge 24-6 win over Nebraska last Friday night. The Hawks coming off a huge 25-24 win over Penn State last weekend. The story of the Hawkeyes this year has really been QB transfer Mark Gronowski, who you could argue is just another guy in a long line of quarterbacks who put on an Iowa uniform that just forget how to play quarterback. But Mark Gronowski adds the element of his legs to this Iowa offense. Had over 100 rushing yards against Penn State, and nobody fact checked me on this, but through the grapevine, first Hawks QB since 1969 to rush for over 100 yards in a game. Again,
Wow.
do not fact check me on that. That's just per sources.
Well, who are your sources?
I'm gonna protect his name, but I call him Uncle Bob. He's
Uncle Wikipedia.
He's an older guy. I know that he's been around a long time and he loves his Hawkeye football.
Yeah.
So I'm going to take his word on that because it sounded incredibly accurate. But now that I'm thinking about it, maybe Brad Banks had a 100-yard rushing game. It's neither here nor there. Per usual, strong defense, strong rushing attack leads the way for Iowa. Current spread is Iowa minus 8.5, over under 38.5. Boys, what are we thinking?
For me, Iowa averages 192 rushing yards a game. Minnesota's defense only gives up 92 rushing yards a game. I feel like anybody that watches college football knows that Iowa lives in the trenches on both sides. I just think that Iowa's offense is going to be too much to handle for Minnesota going into this game. Iowa ranks 21st nationally in red zone offense, scoring 93% of the time while they're in the red zone. And that just worries me for Minnesota because I don't think Minnesota is going to be able to move the ball quite a lot. And I feel like Iowa figured something out last game with Gronowski's legs, little quarterback delay, get him in the pocket, get him to run. I'll take Iowa here. And also, I love the over 38.5 points. And you have Iowa sitting at a minus 8.5 spread. Love the over here.
Oh gosh, man, that spread's high. I think I'd lean towards Minnesota with the points in this one. I can't really see Iowa winning by 2 possessions. I think Minnesota's reeling right now. I think they're feeling good after their ranked win last week against Nebraska. But then you have Iowa beating Penn State. I mean, Penn State's 3-4, yes, but that's still a big win for Iowa. Yeah, I'd lean Minnesota here with the points, I think.
I was going to say Minnesota points, but
Clayton?
just because Quentin took it, I'm going to do Iowa points. Yeah, 100%. I just think
It's always better to be on the
I
other
just think
side than
Iowa's
him.
going to run all over them.
Always, yeah, always, dude.
And it's a trophy game. Iowa points. They're going to win by 10.
Yeah, that definitely happened 2 years ago when these two teams played in Iowa City.
Ooh, yeah, and it was definitely a fair catch, by the way. What else would it be? I mean, he threw his arm up.
Crap about your own Eagle, Quinn?
Try to pull a fast one.
Talking crap about your own
I
bowler?
actually
What? I mean, no, because he won us the Super Bowl.
Yeah. Some say he's overrated, though.
Yeah. Yeah, do the Bills have a Super Bowl? Nah. Okay, let's move on.
I like Minnesota plus 8.5. Final game we're going to preview, fellas. The Texas A&M Aggies travel. Sorry, let me rephrase that. The number 3, 7-0 Texas A&M Aggies travel to Baton Rouge, Louisiana, Death Valley, to take on the number 20 LSU Tigers. Marcel Reed, fellas, he's having a Heisman caliber season. Got over 1,700 yards passing, 15 touchdowns through the air. Texas A&M, they're fresh off that shootout with Arkansas, pulled off the 45-42 win. I'll tell you this much, I love what Mike Elko has built in year 2 and how much Marcel Reed has developed. I think maybe at the time, Texas A&M fans probably didn't think it was the sexiest hire in the world, but I think it was the right hire. Other side of things, LSU coming off a loss to Vandy. Things haven't been great this year. It's kind of the first year under Brian Kelly where the offense actually kind of sucks and the defense has been a strength, but even the defense last week got gashed by Vandy. Kind of feels like it's do or die time for Brian Kelly. They do have this game at home, so maybe that'll help out, but Texas A&M currently favored by 2.5, over under 48.5. What do we think, fellas?
I'll go first because I think I know where Q's going. Texas A&M has everything they need to beat this LSU team. LSU's not going to be able to score the ball. It's clear something's going on over there with their offense. I don't know if Brian Kelly's lost the locker room. Offensive coordinator, I don't know. They have struggled all year. Garrett Nussmeier coming into the year was supposed to be the Heisman favorite. Now you have Marcel Reed for Texas A&M being the Heisman favorite, or one of them. It's completely flipped. Like I said earlier, Brian Kelly, 5-10 against ranked opponents. He's always struggled in high-stake games. Me personally, I think this is the highest of stake games for him. I think his job's on the line. Maybe if you want to go WWE style, you're fired match here. Yeah, give me Texas A&M minus 2.5.
Yeah, I'm also going to take Texas A&M. I'm not a fan that it's a night game in LSU, but I think every year Texas A&M has high hopes, is ranked high, and we kind of just wait for them to slip up because we know it's coming, and they haven't done that yet. I think this is a different Texas A&M team. I don't think they will slip up. I think if there was a game for that was last week. But if you're Texas A&M, you just have to play your own game. You know what it's like to win on the road this year with winning at Notre Dame. You know what it takes, and they played their game. I mean, I'm not really impressed with their defense. I really thought that was going to be this team's turning point this year, was their defense showing up in big games, but it hasn't really. So I think I'm still going to lean towards Texas A&M. I think LSU is kind of scrambling, trying to figure out what to do on offense. Vandy did run up the scoreboard on them a little bit, but I'll take Texas A&M and a very matured Marcel Reed to beat LSU here.
Dude, they stall out all the time, and you cannot afford that against Texas A&M.
Mike, am I allowed to talk about another podcast on this podcast? So, do you guys listen? Do you guys know who T-Bob is from Unnecessary Roughness, the Barstool College Football Podcast? I don't know if you saw what he said this week, but so little background. T Bob actually played for LSU for a few years. I think it was like '08 through 2012 or something. So he was there during the Les Miles era. But he had such a good point when talking about college football in this era where you just buy out coaches' contracts and you pay them a boatload of money to not be the coach. Where he just went on a rant where it's like, we're not going to pay you, or we shouldn't pay Brian Kelly $50 million to not coach. We hired you because you said you didn't think you could win a national championship at Notre Dame, and you think that you can win one here. Figure it out. Like, this is on you if we're not competing at the level you thought we could. This is 100% your fault. We're not paying you a $50 million buyout. Like, figure it out now. And I just love that because in this day and age, you have programs like Texas A&M who, oil money. Some guy just donates Jimbo Fisher's buyout in the middle of a football game at midfield, where it's like I don't love the idea that we're just going to fire every coach because they're not getting it done. I mean, I do think that I get it after a certain point. Like, James Franklin had been at Penn State for how long, and he couldn't get over the hump. I understand that, but like, you need to have a heart to heart if you're an AD with your head coach and tell him, like, what are we doing? You need to fire your coordinators, fire everybody in house if that's what it takes. Like, you're the guy we're paying all of this money to. You figure it out.
I just think with how talented this roster is, like, if you can't figure it out now, when are you going to figure it out? You know what I mean? This is the most talented LSU team on paper coming into the season that we've seen, and since Burrow was there, and they look terrible.
And it sucks because they actually have a defense this year.
Yeah.
And that's what they have not been able to get the past couple of years.
But see, and to that point, Mike, like, they have the roster and they have a good defense, but their offense has been terrible. I think we can all agree that their offense has sucked all year. Fire your offensive coordinator.
Something needs to happen. Whether it is like you said, figure it out. We hired you. We're not going to do the buyout, but figure it out. Or if you can't figure it out, I don't know how you sit there as an LSU, like, their dynasty that they've created over there, and say, hey, we're going to continue with this, and hopefully you can figure it out.
Every head coach that LSU has had since the year 2000 has won a national championship with them. Nick Saban, Les Miles, Ed Orgeron. Just a fun fact for you. Clayton, who do you like, Texas A&M or LSU? It's in Baton
I like
Rouge.
Texas A&M, but I would not be surprised if LSU won. Like, if they somehow just pulled it out and ended up winning, would not be surprised. But I have more faith in Texas A&M. Just saying, though, would not be surprised.
I'm going to take LSU. I'm just going to get cute. Why not? Why not? I believe in Brian Kelly. Not really, but
There's another game I want to talk about. South Florida at Memphis.
Ooh.
Group of 5, big-time game for both of these teams. Conference title possible game here. South Florida sits at 6-1 overall, 3-0 in the conference. Memphis is 6-1, 2-1 in the conference after last week's loss. If Memphis still wants a shot, this is the game to win. I think South Florida is your front runner in the group of 5 right now. If Memphis can beat South Florida, somehow go the rest of the year undefeated, I think that's the win you need, is this one. So keep an eye on this one. I think Memphis is going to give everything they have in this one. Probably dogfight. Memphis is a good football team too.
Yeah, this game would be a lot better if Memphis didn't lose to UAB last week, but you are right. It is a huge game in the group of 5 race. I think, I don't know. What's going to be interesting, we kind of touched on it either last episode or a couple episodes ago, would be the American Conference. I think definitely has the best group of 5 teams, but I think that they could all beat each other up so much that some way, somehow, Boise State could sneak back in if they keep cruising in the Mountain West.
And that wouldn't shock me at all. Just
No,
because
the one thing is South Florida has the head-to-head over them where they didn't only win but won handily.
right. I think Tulane's another team you need to watch. I know they struggled last week, but other than that, they've looked solid all year besides the Ole Miss game.
Gonna whip around some other notable games around the country. Big one up north, Clayton. Got the battle for the Paul Bunyan Trophy, the Spartans and the Wolverines. Another big one, Michael. The Sunflower Showdown. Kansas State, Kansas. What are we thinking?
I don't know how to feel about this Kansas team.
I think I saw a stat like within the last 5 years or something. Whenever Iowa State beats Kansas State beats Kansas, and Kansas beats Iowa State.
Right. We haven't been able to beat Kansas State. I know last year we had a shot, blew it. I mean, that's been the thing since Lance came in. I hate to harp on it even more, but it is such coaching late game failure on the coaching side. They just have no way of closing out a game if it's close. And the only way to win this game in my eyes is to have it be a blowout because I don't trust the coaching staff, and I don't think this is going to be a blowout.
Moving down the rest of the line, some more other notable games. Texas at Mississippi State. I am officially throwing Texas on upset alert. Baylor at Cincinnati. Illinois at Washington. BYU at Iowa State. Another big one in the Big 12. Missouri at Vanderbilt. Alabama at South Carolina. You got a battle of two desperate SEC teams, the Auburn Tigers against the Arkansas Razorbacks. 3 weeks ago, fellas, this game looked terrible, but who knows? UCLA at Indiana.
I'm excited to watch that game.
I think I'm going to devote time to me just sitting in front of TV and actually watching a full UCLA football game this weekend.
We're going to find out how good they are. I mean,
Well, they're not.
exactly, but they might be. They're on a little run here. I don't know. We'll find out. I will say this is another coaching gig. Hugh Freeze, they lose against Arkansas. He's gone. He might be gone already. It might be like a Billy Napier thing where he could win and then get fired. But, I mean, you lose this one, you're for sure gone. So, take that how you want.
Is it time, fellas?
Yes.
Time to jump into the cards, maybe redeem ourselves from previous weeks. Maybe give some winners and not some losers for once.
Who's that directed at?
That's all of us. We're all below 500.
Yeah, okay.
I will say, Q, you are the only lock that lost last week.
You can blame Cade Klubnik, who didn't even play.
Or I could
I'll
blame you
blame
for your
him.
research.
Yeah.
It was the day before the game it came out. Let's do the math. Today, Wednesday, and then Thursday, Friday. Oh, that's after. Oh,
He had to have been questionable through the week, right?
Probably not, is what that meant to say.
Wow.
So, yeah, blame Cade Klubnik.
All right, I'll blame him. Week 9 cards, gentlemen. It's time. I come in at 17-23. Been maybe a little rough year for the kid, but we're going to bounce back this week. Our dear friend Michael is 19-21. He is the closest to 500 as it stands. Quinton, 16-24. He wins 2 out of every 5 games that he gives us. That being said, Q, I'm going to kick it over to you. I think we need to mix up the juju. I think we need to get things going. I want you to read your card off to us.
Why was I the only one with a statistic?
Because your statistic was easy. 17-23 and 19-21 aren't as easy.
Well, I'm only one game behind you.
Yeah, but I'm winning more than 2 out of every 5. I win like 2.2 out of every 5.
Okay, I got a USF minus 4.5 at Memphis. I think they get it done and continue their push to the playoffs. Then I got UConn minus 10.5 at Rice. This is my third week in a row taking UConn, and they have not failed me yet, which now they probably will. Then I have Vandy minus 2.5 versus Missouri. I think this is a legitimate Vandy team, and I don't think Missouri is all that good. So Diego Pavia likes putting his money where his mouth is, so I'll take the kid. And then lastly, I got Oregon minus 32.5 versus Wisconsin as they look to give Wisconsin its third straight shutout. So
Do you remember last year's Wisconsin-Oregon game?
Ooh.
I think you were in
No.
attendance for that, right?
Yeah, I was in attendance, but I don't remember
It
it.
was a
You
little
guys
blurry
barely
for all of
won
us.
that. Yeah.
You could say that about any game, any game. Like, oh, what happened last year against Kansas State? Do you think you're going to win this year?
Kansas isn't
But-
Oregon, right? Are you comparing Oregon to Kansas?
But you lost last. But I'm saying you can't say that. Like, oh, look at how they did last year. It's a completely different team and a completely new year.
I just letting you know. I didn't know if you remember last year when you guys.
No, I don't remember going to the game, Mike. No, I have no recollection of that.
You guys
None. Zip. Nada.
You barely scraped by against a
Wow.
bad Wisconsin team.
Chill out, guys.
Clearly,
Yeah,
it still
and-
gets to you.
No, it
If
doesn't.
anything, it should have been an indication of what was to come in the Rose Bowl.
Is somebody else going to read their card or? I can talk about. I can go on about how Kansas is the worst team in football and has been for the last 20 years.
I'll
It
go
has
through
the
my
most
card.
winless seasons as a Power 4 school in the past 20 years.
I'll go through my card. We're gonna start out Oklahoma minus 4.5. We talked about it. I just think Oklahoma's defense is going to be the difference maker. Oh, I love Minnesota plus 8.5. I do think Iowa probably pulls out the win, but if they do, it's probably going to be just a classic Big Ten West, ugly 16-15, 13-11, 12-8 type of a game. So I think Minnesota covers. I think Iowa wins. Next, normally, fellas, I'm on the side of teams with big spreads in situations where, I think that they either cover the spread in the first half or I think it's a get-right game, whatever it may be. I'm on the opposite side today. There's a big spread for an underdog. This team's hot. They've won 3 games in a row. I don't know how that's weird.
Clint, there's a doppelganger in there.
I'm happy you saw that, Quentin.
Crazy.
Oh my gosh. Dude, I was just talking up a team too.
It's the craziest thing I've seen.
That's weird.
Clint has no clue what
Where's
just
that?
happened.
No.
There was
There were 2 of you.
there was something that came on the screen that said another Clayton Summers is joining, and then the camera panned to you drinking a water bottle, and then it just shut off. That was the weirdest thing ever.
Anyway, boys, I'm taking a team that's hot. Give me the UCLA Bruins plus 25.5 on my card this week. I mean, I just can't argue with what they've done the last few weeks. I think they can maybe keep it respectable against Indiana, and who knows, maybe they win. Why not? Who says
I
no?
like that pick.
Hurts no one, helps everyone. Some people are going to understand that. And then Mississippi State plus 7.5. I just don't trust what I've seen from Texas outside of one game this year. Seems like they just can't get up for some games, and I think Mississippi State's a frisky team. I don't think they're special, but I think they're frisky, so I think they can cover the 7.5 at home. Cowbells are going to be going crazy. Maybe Texas goes to overtime again.
I like it. I'm going to go start my card out here. Toledo at Washington State. Give me Washington State minus 1.5. I think they're the better team here. Toledo has had bad losses against Western Michigan and Bowling Green. All three of Toledo's losses have came on the road. This game is on the road. Washington State, they've lost to Virginia and Ole Miss, two of their losses. So those are tough games there, and they're in both of those games. Next game, North Texas at Charlotte. North Texas has a high-powered offense who racks up the scoreboard. Charlotte doesn't have that great of a defense. They also cannot score. I love North Texas, minus 25.5 here. My next game, I'm going to go Kansas State at Kansas. Sunflower Showdown, Kansas State, Kansas. Not sure what to think of my Jayhawks. We would love to give leads away late in the game. Both teams know how to score. I think it's going to be a shootout. The past 3 seasons, this game has averaged 59 points or more. So give me the over 56.5. My last game, before we get into my card, I am going Wisconsin plus 33.5 against Oregon at Oregon. Put it on the card.
Question.
Answer.
Are you expecting Wisconsin to allow 32 points or less?
I was rethinking it.
Because that's the only way I think they can do it.
I don't.
They've
I don't
scored,
know.
they've
Yes,
scored
yes,
0
yes,
points
yes.
in the last 11 quarters of football.
Yes.
I like it.
I took Texas A&M off my card. I put this one on it last minute. I'm riding with it. Something's telling me to do it. I think Q's wrong here. And I'm just getting flashbacks of last year's game when Oregon was supposed to dominate and they just couldn't. They stinked.
They were a 14-point favorite. That's not dominating. They were a 14-point favorite. That's not dominating.
They still stink.
That's Mike's point. They didn't dominate. They won by 3.
They weren't supposed to dominate.
I just don't think Oregon's going to blow them out here.
Got a couple English majors over here.
Yeah.
Got a couple Bill Shakespeares.
Moving on to lock of the week parlays. Clayton 6-2, first place. Jake 5-3, sitting at second. Myself 4-4, sitting at third. Q 1-7, sitting at the bottom.
Yeah.
You getting
from the bottom. Now we're here. Still at the bottom.
The only thing that can save you at this point is Ed Gein coming in and unburying you. That's the only way you're getting out of that hole. So
that was a crazy reference.
I mean, you're down there, dude.
I'm not that far. There's a lot of football left, dude.
Quentin, if I'm not mistaken, you cannot finish above 500.
That's all right. That's all right. You guys can still finish below 500.
We won't.
Okay, prove it.
You would need.
Clayton won't. He knows ball. Clayton actually, for listeners that didn't know, Clayton actually played college football. So this is kind of his thing. Like, he understands it. He's played it. He's lived it. He is our resident ball knower that's been on the field in crucial third and long situations, special team gunner, kind of you Swiss Army knife, just could do it all.
He has stats.
He does. He does.
Clay, let me ask you something. Did you win a national championship in football?
Did you?
No, but I won one.
Quentin, let me ask you something. Did you play
nice.
Quentin, did you play a minute in college football?
Mike, did you play a minute in college baseball after you tore your elbow? After you broke your elbow? Huh?
After, right? After.
Okay. Guess what? I got hurt. I tore my hamstring in college and came back. I didn't quit, Mike. I didn't quit.
Set the school record for most appearances as a freshman. What do you got?
And then what?
You got 0.
You thought that was good enough, didn't you? You thought that was good enough.
I would just like to congratulate all 3 of you for playing prestigious Division III college sports.
Greatest movie ever.
D3.
Division III, track's
Division
finest.
3.
Les Clinton.
Anyways, the only way for Q to have a chance to win this is Clayton would have to lose out. Quentin would have to win out. Other than that, it's a 3-man race here. Clayton, start us off.
Give me Arizona State minus 6.5.
Ooh, I like that.
I think they're an awesome team. Cincy, a little fake. I don't know yet. I think Arizona State is still really, really, really good, coming off a big win.
Houston, by the way.
Who'd I say?
You said Cincy.
Houston.
Clayton likes it even more. Take the alternate.
I do. God dang, I even had it written down.
Arizona State minus 13.5.
No, it's Arizona State minus 6.5 against Houston. I think Houston's fake. I know they only have one loss. This is big. This is huge Big 12 implications right now. Arizona State minus 6.5.
Like it. Jake?
I am done betting against this guy. I mean, he came back to college football to win a national championship. So give me the Vanderbilt Commodores and Diego Pavia to keep it rolling minus 2.5.
Q, we're going to save you for last because you are in last. I will go here. Baylor at Cincinnati. Cincinnati's tied with BYU at first in the Big 12. They have wins over Iowa State, Kansas, and USF or UCF. I think all three of those teams I just mentioned are better than Baylor. Cincinnati's undefeated at home, 4-0 on the year. Also sit with a 6-1 record. I love Cincinnati minus 3.5 here at home. Put it on the card.
I chose SMU minus 3 against Wake Forest. Coming off a big win against Clemson. I can't even defend the teams I pick because they all end up losing anyways. So I do like it though.
You went out, you get the trophy.
Well, we'll see how SMU does. I'm assuming that Jennings is gonna be announced out on Friday, so I'm not gonna get my hopes up.
Is he probable?
No, he's completely healthy, but that's just my luck.
I'm going to call a timeout. Quentin, in case Kevin Jennings goes down, do you have a possible backup lock?
Yeah, but I'd have to choose a new game. But
we got time.
I'm confident that he's gonna stay healthy.
You heard it here, folks.
I'm riding SMU either way. Ride those Mustangs.
Boys, anything else?
Iowa State gets back on track this week.
I do think they do.
Be safe tailgating. 2 big games in the state of Iowa. So a lot of beer.
You guys are going tailgating, correct?
That's next weekend.
Next weekend, okay.
Yeah.
All right, boys. Rock chalk. See you boys next week.
Mamba out.